Hi everybody, it's Jason. Before we get into this episode, I wanted to tell you about something happening this Saturday. I'm part of a live-streamed fundraiser and celebration on October 9th, 2021 at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. My podcast, Dan and Jay's Comedy Hour, is having our first live episode on Twitch to celebrate the 20th anniversary of our first viral video, and we're raising money for Dan's cat, Skeeter, who has FIP. FIP is normally a deadly disease, but they're keeping her alive with experimental drugs that are very expensive, so you can donate during and after the live stream. We figured why not try to raise some money with the one thing we know, which is comedy. The show starts out as a discussion of some sketch Dan and I did when we were kids, and quickly turns into improv, conversation, and visits from other dimensions. You'll see what I mean when you check it out. Just visit twitch.tv/dgomiller. That's twitch.tv/DGOMILLER this Saturday, October 9th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. We hope to see you there. And in the meantime, if you want to donate, you can check out bit.ly/SaveSkeeter. That's bit.ly/SaveSkeeter. Now, on with the show. I'm Jason Klom, and this is Comedy on Vinyl. The year's 1979 and 1981, the albums... Comedy Is Not Pretty, and the Steve Martin Brothers. The artist, of course, Steve Martin. My guest this week is Ned Hastings. Ned, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so nice to have you back talking about, someone who is not made of felt, which is fine. I don't care. I like talking about puppets. Why did we... Oh, we dug in because you specifically said maybe let's do Comedy Is Not Pretty... then sort of propose the idea, maybe we just talk about the two leftover, because we've never talked about the Steve Martin Brothers, because it always seemed like a weird choice to do one of those.
It is. It's a weird little thing. I mean, I'll be honest. He was my guy, like everybody else, and I think my copy of Let's Get Small is actually technically my brot's that I stole from him.
Of course.
I still have. And then I had, I had the first three, and I had Comedy Is Not Pretty, I really love. And then even when Steve Martin Brothers came out, I didn't buy it. I remember looking at it in the store, and it was, by that time I was in high school, and I kind of wasn't buying a lot of comedy, and I just, whatever money I had that would go toward an album, I probably was spending on Pizza Hut or a movie or something like that. Because I think I may have already been starting to date by then.
Sure.
No, not quite. That's not true. But at any rate, certainly more social and more out in the world because I was in high school by then.
Yeah.
So I actually caught up with it, not to jump ahead, but I ended up catching up with it. Before the big Napster blow up in the early 2000s or late 90s, when Napster finally decided that they needed to clamp down, there would be blog sites where people would upload albums that were particularly if they were out of print. People would digitize them and upload them, and I landed on one of these sites that just had tons and tons and tons of stuff. And I saw Steve Martin Brothers on there, and I was like, and it was out of print at the time. And I was like, I'm just going to download this and finally listen to it. And so actually, my first listening was not on vinyl, but it is of a vinyl recording.
That's really funny.
So
it's a weird, almost. It's not on its own. There are other records that are half comedy, half music. The other one that stands out to me is the Two Sides of the Smothers Brothers, which is just one half comedy and one half, which is great, equally great to listen to, because I love listening to their music. I love listening to Steve Martin play music. The only other one I can think of, I have this, no, I think I gave this one away. I bought this record in Kalamazoo, Michigan, when I was visiting a few years ago by a guy named Marv Welch, who turns out worked on a kids show up here at one of the local shows.
Cool.
And one half was the worst garbage, not subtly, not that it should be subtle, but racist and homophobic and shitty comedy on one side. And the other side is him, kind of a great singer, kind of not a bad singer. And I'm like, you could have just given me two sides of that shit and not done your comedy, quote unquote. So these are the three that I can think of. The weird thing is that also his banjo was recorded 9 years before this record 10 years before the record came out. It's from a thing he recorded in 1971, which is the weirdest thing in the world to me.
Steve Martin Brothers.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't either until I looked it up today. According to Wikipedia, wow. the comedy stuff where he's borderline giving up on comedy.
Right. Yeah.
And yes. Like he's like either he's given up or the character is given up or both. And then literally he's like, no, the second half there's going to be no comedy. I'm just going to do what I want to do, which is play music.
Well, I figure, I don't know that anyone's ever said this, but I always figured the name, the Steve Martin Brothers, is a direct sort of lift of the Smothers Brothers.
Probably, right?
It's got to be. I mean, he was one of their writers, and, they famously did a album that's half comedy and half music, and it's got to be. I mean, why else would you go with the name The Steve Martin Brothers? I mean, it's a ridiculous name. And the photos, the front cover, arguably the comedy side is him in a pink version of his famous white suit, and just looks like the sleaziest lounge lizard who ever lived. Yeah. Like he's not even wearing the jacket; it's just thrown over his shoulders, and he's got like sunglasses and a cigarette. It's hysterical. And then the back cover is him in full like outlaw country look. Got the beard and it's. I'd have to look back at it, but there's a famous photo of him now that floats around of when he was like 20 and he still had dark hair and he had a beard and he was and he kind of looks like a hippie. And I don't think it's that photo, but I think it's almost like him saying, well, this is what I used to look like. I'm going to copy this look now for Steve Martin Brothers. Yeah. He's got like a big belt buckle and there's an American flag behind him, and 5 years before Bruce Springsteen did it.
So good. I mean, that might be the best part of the record. It's a great photo, and also Steve, that's a handsome look for you. You could have kept it. Like I get it, and I respect him leaning into going gray. That's
he did early.
Exactly. I would have taken gray over bald. I'm just gonna say I would have taken that a million times over going bald. But it's a good look. The long hair and the beard. It's a good look. I wish I could do it again.
Yeah. I just have the beard. And the gray.
Sure.
And I noticed too, there's a break in Comedy's Not Pretty where he just plays a song.
Yeah.
Just straight out. It's not like in, Let's Get Small where the music leads to a comedy bit and back and forth, and it's just a flat out stops the show and plays the banjo. And so it kind of feels like a little hint of like, this is kind of what I think I need to try to do for a little while.
Right. Even though like it's his career is one that's hard to track, and I appreciate that, because I'm sure there was a lot of this guy being that successful, but also being afraid he was going to be that guy forever. He didn't want to get pinned down. I totally appreciate that on a creative level.
Yeah.
And I also think I appreciate him reflecting that in his comedy, where again, either he's not trying hard anymore or the character's not trying hard. Don't know. Couldn't tell you which one it was.
Yeah. There's a couple of things happening actually in Comedy's Not Pretty in particular that I noticed. And I kind of harken back to his autobiography, where he talked about when he kind of knew the jig was up with that character. Because it feels like comedically he knew it before emotionally he knew it, maybe. But because there's not only there's a few bits that he does, and Comedy is Not Pretty in particular, that the setups are, he's already used them in other albums. The famous one, though, like the first cut, is where he talks about his real name being Gurn Blanston.
Yes, right.
And there's a whole bit in Let's Get Small, where his real name is blah, 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 blah. It's like this nonsense name. And they're both great bits, but they're completely the same setup. And he just takes them in a different direction. My cat just chimed in.
I couldn't tell if it was on your end or my end for a second.
It was my cat. Yeah, they're both walking on the table behind there. I can see them. Sorry. There's another one.
I remember he does the setup of like, people ask me, Steve, how can you be so fucking funny? I know that's also, he also repeats that one.
And there's actually the title track, Comedy Is Not Pretty, kind of that setup is this sort of like, I'm terrible at relationships, which is, in Let's Get Small, leads to him cutting his girlfriend in half with a shotgun. And it's amazing. And this is a funny bit too, because of the whole, it's a shorter bit, but it does feel like it's like, okay, let's go down this road a different way.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily laziness so much. I think it's him. There's a current comedian who I really love named Gary Gulman.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with him at all? He's got like 5 albums, and 4 of them are variants of the same bits. He's got one bit that pops up on 3 of his albums, but each one is slightly different. He goes off different roads and he takes different tangents. This isn't quite that. Steve Martin doesn't go. It's not the same bit with variants. It's the same setup with a road that he didn't take before.
Right.
Which I think is kind of interesting. It's hard to call it lazy because it leads to funny stuff.
For sure.
But it is a little bit like, he might be getting a little sleepy. And the other thing I noticed with Comedy Is Not Pretty is there's a lot of stuff in there about fame.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in there about, like, being famous and what a drag it is, and other people who are famous and how they're not what you think they are, and even if it's taken to just bizarre places like the Jackie O, which is the whole bit about meeting Jackie Onassis in a laundromat in Tucson, which is a bit that as a kid I was thinking, because Steve Martin is one of those guys that'll have a whole bit and there's subtext that you can pick up from it and realize, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Sure.
He thinks he does, but we can see from what he's saying that he's wrong. As a kid, I always kind of kept waiting for that, for that tip-off that, okay, this isn't really Jackie Onassis, he just thinks it is. But that never happens. And something, is that the bit that he really is trying to convince us in some way that was Jackie Onassis that refused to use her fork at lunch and was flashing the waiter with, So yeah, that's the other thing, is that he seemed to be getting kind of tired of being famous.
For sure. Which is weird because I feel like as soon as it's even possible. I mean, you know what? It's so funny. I keep saying I'm tired of talking about Let's Get Small, but it's to the point where I've forgotten a lot of the bits, so I probably should revisit it. But I feel like there are even bits on that record where he's already at least pretending to be more famous than he is. And obviously, once you get to Wild and Crazy Guy, one half of the record, it's intentional. One half of the record's a small club, and the other half is a fucking stadium.
A stadium, which, And I think with Let's Get Small, that's his character. His character is the puffed up guy with nothing to back it up. Yeah. And he's a little bit smarmy, and he's a little bit full of himself, and he's not quite as big a star as he thinks he is, and that's the bit.
Yeah.
And if that's the bit, and then you're playing stadiums, the bit's over. Right. You can't pretend to be more famous than you are, because you're the most famous comedian on earth. I actually had a buddy I think I was in 6th grade, who went to Steve Martin in concert. And I can remember him telling me, he's like, guess what I did last night? I was like, what? He said, I saw Steve Martin in concert. And the term "in concert" to me was so foreign to the notion of comedy that I remember thinking, did he just play the banjo the whole time? And he's like, no, it was his comedy. I'm like, what? And he had played the Omni, which was I saw Paul McCartney there and Sting or the Police and I mean. Yeah, it was our major music venue. It's a stadium. It was where the Hawks used to play. And he filled it.
That's fucking crazy.
So this is like 1978.
This is a period that obviously I'll never get to visit, but I just feel like that is something I would love to have seen. Although, oh God, what I also can't imagine seeing him perform, although maybe there were cameras, but I mean, if you only got him from a distance, what are you even seeing? Are you there?
A pink
just
blob,
right?
A white blur, yeah. I can't imagine. Yeah.
You maybe can barely hear it because still there's diminishing returns on that sound at some point, especially if everybody's scream laughing around you. Mm-hmm. So maybe it wouldn't have been, I don't know. That's weird.
It's funny because he has a bit in Steve Martin Brothers about doing a joke for the people in the back seats.
Yeah.
And as a setup, it's not dissimilar to the bit in, again, Let's Get Small, the plumber joke, which is one of my absolute favorite things of all time. And the whole idea of like this is just for these people, but he doesn't go that deep into it. But he's got the joke about the people in the back seats, and it's like basically it involves him holding up a dime, the smallest coin he could find. But on some level, you kind of wonder, okay, did he come up with that joke while he was working at a stadium? And of course now he's working in a small room. I don't know where they recorded it, but it's obviously like the boarding house or one of those places where he recorded. I gotta
look it up. I saw it earlier. Yeah, so Comedy Is Not Pretty. It was recorded at the boarding house. Yeah, good call. Absolutely right.
Okay.
And then Steve Martin Brothers is recorded someplace in Vegas. It is unlisted where in Vegas, but then the Hollywood one is at the Comedy Store. So the second comedy chunk is in the Comedy Store. Okay,
that makes sense. He makes a joke about playing Vegas just for the money, which is really funny. And then he says something like, just to pay the rent for the next 25 years, which is a funny joke on its own, but it also kind of harkens back to this thing that he does in Wild and Crazy Guy, where he's like going over his taxes for the year and his expenditures and and then he starts playing with the idea of like how much he can charge per seat, and like finally he gets to the idea where he's like charging like $500,000 a seat, and and then he gets to just do one more show and that's it. So he's making jokes even at that time about leaving comedy. And it feels like a joke, and it may have started out purely as a joke, but he keeps making that joke. Particularly by Steve Martin Brothers, when he's making it, you're like, oh, he's saying goodbye. He's not going to do this anymore.
Yeah, very much so.
And of course, he famously did not announce his retirement. He just stopped.
Right.
Yeah.
The Steve Martin Brothers also is notable for him not writing all of his own material, because Jack Handey, at the very least, was one of the co-writers on the Steve Martin Brothers.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't either until today. I had to dig into it. There are a few bits with that in mind. You can go back and listen to it and be like, well, that could be a Jack Handey bit. Like some of them are, if something, I don't know, it feels, but they also feel like they are perfectly like, they meet at this perfect point.
It's funny because I never really thought about how much the Jack Handey style and the Steve Martin style are similar, and I'm willing to believe that they're, I don't think anybody's copying anybody else. I think they just are two like minds that
very much
probably met on SNL and went, oh wow, you share my brain.
Yeah, it's really funny, honestly. I will give this to the Steve Martin Brothers because it's the one I listened to most, because I'd already heard Comedy Is Not Pretty, so my revisit wasn't as note heavy. But God, there's just some weird. There's a moment where in the Vegas show or something where he's saying that Eddie Fisher is in the audience and then Carl Reiner's in the audience, and look, they're shaking hands. Oh, I was here for a great show business moment. He just does this whole bit, and I'm like, there's part of me, it's like there's half a chance that Carl Reiner's actually in the audience, but I'm guessing it's just an entire bit. Just him fucking pulling it out of his asshole.
It's funny, though, because when he said Eddie Fisher, I'm like, okay, Eddie Fisher's not
he's not,
Steve Martin's show. But the thing is, he may have been.
Yeah.
If he's there with his daughter, who's one of Steve's really good friends.
That's a very good point.
And, let's face it, they probably dated, because it sounds like she went out with everybody. And I don't mean that in any way, shape, or other than it sounds like she did. And there's something about the way he says, yeah, stand up, and people kind of clap that made me kind of think, no, they're really there.
Right.
And then I just wonder if maybe they really are there, and then they shake hands, and then that's just Steve riffing at that point.
Yeah, my brain vacillated the entire time, and I think it still is. I'm like, yeah, are they? Or is the audience hip enough to play along that much if they weren't? Like, that's, I guess, my other question. Probably not.
Right. That's that, and I think that's where I kind of buy into the idea that they really were there.
Did I say Carl Reiner? I meant Rob Reiner. I'm sorry. I just feel like I got to correct myself. I said
no.
Carl
It is
Reiner.
Carl.
It is Carl. Oh wait, because because he said the director of. Okay, yeah.
My right. One movie.
Yeah. One movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, it could have just as easily been Rob because they were also. I heard Steve Martin in an interview one time say that, and I always knew he wrote on the Smothers Brothers, and I've learned since I first heard that one of his writing partner was Bob Einstein.
Oh yeah.
But I heard him in an interview say that his first writing partner on the show was Rob Reiner.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, which is a really just crazy idea to me because of course Rob Reiner I've known forever because he was Meathead.
Did you ever see that documentary Smothered about the Smothers Brothers? Maybe we've talked about this before.
I don't think I have actually.
It sucks that it's standard definition. No judging the people who do it, but like that's what it was at the time, and that's what they could afford to make. It's, I think, a really good documentary about the whole history of the Smothers Brothers being censored. But there's a bit. There's back when the Aspen Comedy Festival still existed, they did a reunion show with all the big ones, including Steve Martin. And Steve Martin was like, yeah, they're going to can me from the show, but Mason Williams paid me out of his pocket to keep me there. Like, he paid out of his pocket to... So basically, Mason Williams is responsible for us still having Steve Martin. So,
that's amazing.
Thank you, Mason Williams. I should try and get Mason Williams on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So and that actually reminds me of your show of shows, which I constantly put those two shows together in my mind, not simply because of the two Reiners, but because your show of shows just had this writer's room that, turned into a pantheon of comedic talent out in the real world. And same with the Smothers Brothers. And I mean, it's just insane, the people that were writers on that show that became famous. But the other, what makes me think about that is Mel Brooks was actually not employed by the show. He was employed by Sid Caesar.
That I did not know.
The producer of the show hated Mel Brooks and didn't want him on the show, but Sid wanted him, and so Sid paid Mel him out of his own pocket to be one of the writers on the show.
I will say, of all the stories I've ever heard, and I love Mel Brooks, he is my hero, and he is the absolute, dream guest, top 5 dream guest for this show. Yeah. I know that if I were in the room working with him, writing as a young man myself, if I were young and he was young, I'd hate him too. Because I know the energy that it's just, there's no doubt. Yeah. Sid Caesar hung the guy out of a window. He was so pissed with him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, which is
he was complaining about it being hot.
Those fucking stories of that show. Oh, my God.
And about Sid Caesar being freakishly strong. That's what I love about it. Yeah. Apparently, I heard I was watching a Dick Cavett rerun, actually, and I think it was Carl Reiner was the guest, or maybe it was Mel who was the guest, talking about how Sid Caesar one time got so angry at a cab driver that he tried to pull him out the window of the cab, but not the main window, the little small window that used to be built into cars so you could smoke, that little vent window in the front. He literally reached through that and tried to pull the cab driver out of the car. Yeah.
Wow. And then to see Sid Caesar in Grease and Grease 2 as this just not shriveled, I don't want to say shriveled, but this very humbled ex-alcoholic,
past whatever prime he had.
Yeah. This is small guy. If you guys want a good idea of what he was like, from what I get, watch My Favorite Year, because Joseph Bologna plays like what you picture Sid Caesar was behind this. It's so good, such a good movie.
Yeah. And I've heard, basically Mel hired him to write it because Mel produced it, and he intended for the Benji Stone character to be based on himself. And the guy said to Mel, he's like, "I'm going to base him on me because I'm nicer than you."
I was going to say that at no point does he come across as I'm an idiot because it's Norman Steinberg. It's Norman Steinberg, and
that's what I was going to say.
I've interviewed the man on the podcast. I just didn't realize it was the same.
I thought so. Yeah, I thought you had.
What's great is I interviewed him, and I didn't even bring up My Favorite Year, which I happened to just adore and have since I was a kid.
Me
Now
too.
I got to get him back on to talk about my favorite year.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's such a good movie. I interviewed the lady who plays. Oh God, what's her character? She plays the lady writer in the movie, and she also plays the prostitute.
And DeSalvo.
Yes, thank you. She also
And
plays the
DeSalvo.
prostitute in Arthur, and I mostly wanted to interview her about those two parts. And that was just a great interview.
I just saw her on Cheers on a Cheers read.
Oh yeah.
She was Eddie LeBec's secret wife.
Thank you. Right, because they wanted somebody who was Carla-ish, but not Carla.
Slightly taller than Carla.
Every time, she basically said everything she got cast as was just like an Italian lady. She's like, mostly was just cast as the Italian lady you needed, but she was perfect as a not Carla. It was so good. I love her. She's
great.
Actress.
She's great. She's hilarious in My Favorite Year. She's fantastic.
Lainey Kazan is another dream guest. I just feel like I should point that out. I love Lainey Kazan with all my heart. She's one of the funniest people on the planet, and I need her on the show as well.
And a hell of a singer.
Good Christ, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In the early, I don't know if your family experienced this because I'm older than you, but in the early days of home video, when everybody first got their first VCRs or whatever playback machine they got, and you would have these sort of favorite movies, and that was one of the ones that my family you could just put on at any time, and we would all just eat it up. My parents, my brother, my sister, we all loved that one. Mr. Mom, Night Shift.
Oh shit! Sure. My
were
parents
all
wouldn't let me watch that. Wait, did they? No, they did. It was violence I couldn't watch. Boobs were okay.
It's funny. My parents are actually have always been pretty prudish about anything sexual. And I had seen Night Shift in the theater and just thought it was hilarious, and then brought it home for I rented it, I guess, and watched it, and then in those days you'd rent the movie and you'd have it for 24 hours, and so if somebody watched it that night, somebody else is going to watch it the next morning. The movie's still here before we take it back. I'm going to watch it before we take it back. and my parents watched it, and my brother, my mom and dad says, we watched Night Shift and thought it was so great, and my brother was just shocked. He's like, aren't there boobs in that movie? And my mom was like, yeah, but it's all in good fun. I'm like, oh, wow. Because it is in the middle of a party. It's just sort of a general bacchanal. And with Kevin Costner, by the way.
Oh, wow.
He's one of the frat guys in that movie.
That's really funny.
I spotted him in the credits one time and ran it back. And you can see him a full shot. He's on camera as a featured shot. A young Kevin Costner rolling Michael Keaton on the gurney. We've digressed.
A little bit, sorry. That's all me, because and DeSalvo.
Well, again, yeah, and My Favorite Year and Sid Caesar backtracking, yeah. So, so I kind of do wonder if they really were there, Carl and Eddie, Eddie Fisher, so random.
What are your general feelings about these? Because they don't have, I'm sure, the same place in your heart as the other two. But what is if
actually Comedy's Not Pretty is pretty dear to my heart.
Okay, good. All right.
And it, in a way that the underdog kind of can be. It was never going to be a big album because it was on the heels of the biggest comedy album ever.
Sure.
Which was on the heels of the biggest comedy album ever. I mean, that was just such a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
But you know how you fall in love with a band and everybody buys the first album and it's great, and then but you're always like, yeah, but the second album is really good. Mm-hmm. That sophomore effort is really good. This always felt like that to me. This always had that sort of nobody's paying attention to how really funny this album is.
Right.
And it's only in light of my knowledge that it was his last full album and his autobiography of saying that it, how it was all kind of fading in his mind as something that he was interested in doing. It's only that it takes on those vibes of, okay, yeah, I can hear where he's getting a little tired. Mm-hmm. To me, it's a really solid, funny record. There's lots of stuff in it that I quoted over the years. I've got it pulled up on my laptop so I can see the set list, because there's the Googlephonics thing is funny about the stereo.
He's laughing through that, and I can't tell if that's a bit. I can't tell if him fucking up is a bit or not.
For years, I just thought it was just screwing up and and laughing at it. The last time I listened to it, or the last 2 times I listened to it, I thought, oh, no, this feels a little stagey.
Yeah?
It does feel like that's the bit. Like the screwing up is the bit. And and I mean, I shouldn't say it. It's not the bit in the way that Steve Martin bits are classic, sort of like, let's peep in through the showbiz curtain a little bit here. I think he's really just kind of trying to make it into something that it's maybe not.
Okay.
Partly because the punchline of it relies so much on it being as long of a story as possible, so that then he can just kill it with like, it's okay for my car, wouldn't want one in my house, which is a line that we repeat all the time at my office. And what else is the other? The other interesting thing, not only does he take the break to play the song, but he takes the break to read from the book.
Oh, yeah.
From Cruel Shoes. And it's funny, because I like hearing him read his book. And the book is... Have you ever read that book?
I have not. Not all the way through. I know I've read The Cruel Shoes and 1 or 2 other things out of it.
Yeah. It's really funny.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Again, stole it from my brother. I actually used to read it out loud to my friends at lunch in high school.
Yes.
In character, and trying to do my Steve Martin impression, sort of, and how would he read it, if he were reading it. I know, God, it's so obnoxious.
I love that. No, that's good. I mean, sure, so it's the nerdiest shit, but it's good. That's good. I love that. I did not have the guts to do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not sure guts is the word. I think gall, it might be the better word. But it's interesting because it's sort of a commercial, in the same way that King Tut dropped in the middle of Wild and Crazy Guy feels sort of like a commercial.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's fun. I mean, it's a fun bit.
Yeah.
The Jackie O thing is, I think, hilarious. The hostages thing is hilarious, and really kind of weird. Because at that moment, I mean, that's right around the time that we had however many hundred people in Iran for a year, or however long it was. So the word hostage was kind of a loaded word. So it's kind of just funny that he is able to just work with it and still make it funny. It's a silly bit, and it's got the great list of his demands, which is hysterical. It's got that just classic Steve Martin, like, the third thing is the joke, and then he chuckles to himself, and then makes you think that he thinks that the second thing is the joke. Getaway car. Like, how stupid is that? So, there's lots of real gold in there. It's just, it's not the one that everybody thinks of first, but it really is funny. I have 2 copies of it.
You do?
On vinyl. Yeah, a friend of mine found it at like a garage sale, and I loved it, and so he bought it for me, and I'm like, and I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Did they both have the poster in it? That's the question.
Oh, what was the poster?
The poster, let me pull it up. If I'm not mistaken, is him with the fish. Yeah. Like that. Yeah.
Was it a poster, or was it like a photo?
The one I had came with a fold-out poster, and I don't know if it's an original release.
Because my copy did. I don't think the one that the guy got me at the garage sale does. But
sure.
I did definitely have that poster.
So much harder to find them with the shit in it.
Yeah. Getting back to Steve Martin Brothers, because I'm a weirdo completist, I actually did buy a copy on eBay not long ago.
You did?
That has all the stuff.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah, it has the poster.
Okay, so there's a poster in there too.
It had a poster, and I can't remember what else is in there. It seems like there's one other little thing that's in the package, and it's a fold out and the whole thing. They're gettable on eBay, and I just was kind of like, I need to have a copy of this just so I've got all 4 of them.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I'm surprised I don't. I'm surprised I don't have it.
Yeah. There's a few albums, vinyls that and I'm not like a vinyl collector.
Right.
I do have a turntable, and I've just held on to all my vinyl from forever, from years ago. And there's a few vinyls that I used to always kind of look at the store and never bought, and I've gone back now and just so I can say I have it, just so I can, There's only a couple, but that's one of them.
Were these things you hadn't listened to and never bought, or things you had listened to in other formats but wanted on vinyl?
In most cases, things I'd like. Yeah, no, almost always something I've got on CD. That I bought on CD 10 years after it came out, and I just always regretted not having gotten on vinyl, that kind of a thing. I'm a weirdo. When it comes to physical media. I'm bizarro.
Well, at least you don't, mindlessly buy 700 comedy records and then realize you have to haul them halfway across the country and don't know why you ever started collecting in the first place. Other than this fucking podcast.
I think you could take out the word comedy records and put in DVDs or Blu-rays.
Sure.
We'd be on the same track.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm glad that I deboxed all of mine before we left and put them in a couple giant folder things. Otherwise, it would have been 10 times the boxes for sure. Yeah. A lot of stuff. It's a problem. It's a problem.
Because you used to have them like all over your walls and stuff, right?
That's the other thing too, is with this new office here in the Detroit area, I don't really have room for it. Room for them, especially the walls are as high, but there's what you cannot see is that there's a bevel here because this is a weird jutty out part of the house, so you can't really put records as high as I did in the last place. So it's not going to work, which is okay. I think I'm just going to put them facing where my records are in my shelves. I'll have a nice little display, a single record signed by this person, signed by that person, whatever,
You could always divest yourself of 4 or 5 of your copies of First Family.
My wife would love that. I have these nice leather cases, Ned. These nice leather cases that are filled with records, 2 of them, and one of them is almost all First Family copies.
How many copies do you have?
20-some. 20-some. I'm going to get rid of them. I have to. I did want to do an art piece with them, to be fair. I had an art piece idea.
Okay.
But I feel like I did at one point promise my wife, I'll do that art piece or I'll throw them out, and neither of those has happened yet. I did do another art piece with a bunch of my leftover Cosby albums, which I don't know where it will ever be appropriate to show that art piece. But the First Family one I do want to finish. I have an idea. I know what it will be. Just might take a while to get it finished.
Is that why you have so many? Because of your art idea? Or does each one have a little bit of special meaning? Or?
At first, I was buying them just out of instinct. I was like, this is only 50 cents. I'll buy it. And right. I did, to be fair, I wanted to get a sealed copy. And I still don't think I have a sealed copy. I'd like to have a sealed copy of it. And then there are a couple different variations on print. And then one has this blue border around it because it's a re-release. There's just a couple things like that. But that's at most 4 separate records. I do not need 20. There's 4 or 5 variations I could keep if I was that obsessed. And then a sealed copy of the original would be nice. But then they're all just sitting in there, just waiting to be. And the art piece idea I have, not that creative or intelligent. I just thought it would be fun to make. It needs to get done to get it out of my system.
Now, was First Family, that was a huge, everyone had a copy, right?
It was the biggest selling, not comedy record of all time by a couple months into it existing. It sold 7.5 million copies. And
amazing.
And yeah, everybody had it. And especially being out in Burbank, when I was, everybody out there seemed to have a copy. Every record store had a few copies and leftovers. Every estate sale I went to, if they had comedy records, that was in there.
Oh, yeah.
Unavoidable.
Yeah. It seems to me like people had that record even if they weren't Kennedy fans.
I think so. I think
because they thought it made fun of him. And
that's what I'm thinking. It served a dual purpose because, Bob Booker has talked about it being kind of like a gentle poking fun of, but I'll bet if you hated Kennedy, you're like, we're really taking Kennedy down. I feel like it just crossed the board that way. It was absolutely like a litmus test as to why you bought it. That was the litmus test. It's a weird artifact.
Well, I've got a copy. I got my parents' old copy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's still a fun record.
It's been a long time since I've listened to it, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, there's a couple really good bits on it, honestly, like that still hold up. Poor Von Meter. What are you gonna do though?
You've talked. I know you've talked about the Lenny Bruce story.
I didn't. I should have. I was tempted to ask his widow about that, but I'm like, that seems a little uncouth to ask her about, and she wasn't there for that anyway. Like, she doesn't know for sure if that happened. So, I do love that story. It's just funny. It's just inherently funny.
It's because it's so tasteless. It's so like, even if it's not. Again, it's like half the people have already thought of it and they're so relieved that somebody said it out loud, and the other half are like, "Oh my god, I never thought about that." But yes, you're right.
Yeah,
he's fucked. Which I've also never really quite heard exactly what he said.
I know. I've heard
different things.
I've heard 3 or 4 different variations on it. Some tamer than the rest, but I choose to believe it's Von Meter's fucked, but that's because it sounds the best.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's just, and it was like that weekend, right?
It was that night. That's how I've always heard it told, is that he got up on stage that night. Could be totally apocryphal, because there's no record of it. But, damn, if he did. Part of me admires it, and part of me is like, you piece of shit. There's another part of me that's like, you bastard. Why? Wait a day.
That's like Gilbert Gottfried's Fukushima joke.
Oh, God.
Or his 9/11 joke that he told on like 9/12.
Oh my Christ. Now I will say he did that in a room full of comedians who were going to be telling terrible shit anyway, so that is one where I'm like, I am surprised there was that much booing. I am honestly surprised, because they seem like they were all these sort of like, edgy comedians, and I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked. If I were Gilbert Gottfried, I would have thought I'd read the room. I wouldn't make that joke if I were me, but I'm just saying I know he would.
I wouldn't have thought of that joke.
No.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Holy fuck.
I heard a quote of his one time. He said something like, people are always saying, it's too soon. And I always think, why wait?
Oh my God. I wonder if I could handle interviewing him. I'm guessing no. I don't think I could. I don't know. I know he's a different guy in his interviews, but I don't know. I don't know if I could handle it.
Well, I've heard him on a podcast, and he was really... he's on. I think he was on Alan Alda's podcast.
Oh, I forgot Alan Alda. That's very weird.
I think he was on. Well, Alda was on Gilbert's podcast.
Okay,
and he's great.
Sure.
And I think he had Gilbert on to his. Or no, I'm wrong. He had Frank Santapadre. He had Gilbert's. Frank Santapadre.
Okay.
But I have heard Gilbert on podcasts, and he was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was great.
I want to interview Alan Alda. That's just a side note. I'd interview Alan Alda all day. That'd be great.
He's a really interesting guy.
Yeah.
He's really smart.
He's one of, like, I think the only guy... No, that's a lie. That's a lie. Him and Dick Van Dyke are the only 2 people alive, I think, who got their start on the Phil Silver Show. There could be 1 or 2 other guys who are, but they both got their start as doing bit parts on that show, and I'm fascinated with that era of entertainment.
Really? I didn't know they did. I didn't know they did.
Both of them. George Kennedy was an extra, or like did one line on that show, and I think he was still in the military, got his SAG card, and then 5-6 years later has an Oscar.
I've seen George Kennedy on an episode of Andy Griffith.
Oh yeah. So because of Bilko, he got.
I'm thinking, man, how far away was this from Cool Hand Luke? It couldn't be more than a couple of years.
No, right?
Andy Griffith, you're talking like 63, 64.
Yeah.
I've also seen Lee Van Cleef on an episode of Andy Griffith.
That's really funny.
It's very strange. Yeah.
I'm doing a side podcast soon about George Goober Lindsay, and so I've got a lot of Andy Griffith on the brain.
A buddy and I have a running list of actors and actresses who are known by their full name with their character name in print. And, and George Goober Lindsay leads that pack. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of who else we've got. Anytime one of them comes up with, I'll just get a text every now and then. It'll be somebody's name with the Fred Rerun Barry.
Oh, that's sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people also from like Hee Haw just went by their character names, which was one of the weirdest things in the world. I felt like not like Minnie Pearl had a different character name, right? But still, oh God, who was the one? Oh shit. Trying to remember. I know there were a couple from Hee Haw who just straight up like you only
Grandpa Jones, I assume wasn't his name.
Yeah.
Junior Samples.
Is that can't be the man's real name. That's the one I think.
I don't think anyone's real name is Junior, although they're probably, his name is probably, Milburn Sanford Jr. And so, I don't know if he was a junior or not. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, everybody's kind of Archie. What's his name? Archie. God, what was that guy's name? Darn it, I can't think of it. Archie Campbell. He was on It was one of the guys on the show. I'm going to admit, I actually kind of used to like that show.
I'm sure. Well, the thing is, I know I watched it too, so there's no doubt that I enjoyed it.
I would tune out the I would tune out the music, which now is sort of strange because now I think Buck Owens and Roy Clark are great.
Sure,
but I didn't care about the music at the time. I just wanted the comedy. Just hit me with the comedy, even if it's terrible and lame. And it was a show that was terrible and lame, but knew it. I mean, I don't think they were pretending like that comedy was breaking any ground.
I don't think so either.
It had a very vaudeville vibe.
Yeah, it was the last vestige of like pure vaudeville outside of maybe a couple sitcoms that I feel like kept that alive for a bit.
Yeah. Well, and wasn't it? It was created, I heard, as the country Laugh-In.
Yeah.
As they wanted that vibe. They wanted, and Laugh-In is very vaudevillian in a lot of ways. It's just Hee Haw hung on for 20 more years.
Right.
I mean, it was still on in the 70s.
And I think they stretched it out later on too, and like they did a newer version of it, if I'm not mistaken, slightly after. Like, it's one of those things that I expect to see a reboot of any day now, honestly.
I'm sure it showed up on the Nashville Network or one of those.
Sure,
reboot of Hee Haw.
It will happen. It will, mark my fucking words, it'll happen.
With that guy with the puppets, what's his name? Jeff Dunham.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Oh Christ. You're right. That would have to happen, wouldn't it?
It's kind of a miracle, actually, with the comedy, the Jeff Foxworthy group. That didn't spawn a rerun, a Hee Haw reboot.
I know. Although what would be really funny is somebody like Ron White, who is like he's definitely from the South, but he is not playing the same game those other guys are, where he's a bit more on the liberal side, and it's really funny to see him talking to the same crowd and saying some real fucking crazy shit to them. I like Ron White. I think I imagine I'd like most of his comedy. I could be wrong, but he feels like the weird odd man out in that group. He just sounds perfect. He's got that great accent and sits up there smoking a cigar and drinking whiskey or whatever. I'm just doing Sam Elliott on accident, but
that was very Sam Elliott. He has he does kind of hit a certain type of Southern guy that the other ones don't touch on. And of course, Larry the Cable Guy, I don't think is a Southerner at all. At least he wasn't when he started out. At least in his comedy, he wasn't, for sure. Yeah. Dan, what's his real name?
Yeah, I can't fucking remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just a character that he came up with that he decided to just take on the road.
Yeah. It's easier to be homophobic if he does that guy. I'm assuming I get to say the truth when I talk like this. Okay, well, that's weird. If that's not how you talk, bud, just that's real strange. Where the hell? I'm sorry. I feel like this is my fault that we got off the rails, Ned. This is the problem. Like, there's so much of us to be able to talk about.
I think fault is a heavy word that you don't need to use, man.
Okay, that's fair. Fair.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that I was going to mention about sort of rehashes in these shows is the last bit on Steve Martin Brothers is he's rehashing that French lover character of his that it's not quite a fest-drunk brother, but it's because he sounds like he's doing like a French thing. But it's that classic sort of like, I can do more with this guy. That's the same joke in a lot of ways, but it's still funny
for sure.
I think.
Yeah, he's just playing a creep. He does. It's just weird that he just goes into the. That's not a thing. That is also very kind of weirdly vaudeville to just stand up there and like, I'm just going to do a character now. Like, that's not a thing comics do anymore. So I guess that's why it stands out. But it is weird to just like, here's my guy. I'm going to do. Is he also does this preacher who maybe this is based on a.
I'm sorry. Something. That's the last bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. It's the preacher that's the last bit.
But the preacher is like eventually Harry Shearer's Reverend Lovejoy sounds exactly like this guy. So is he doing this character, was there another famous? Do you think they're both drawing from the same well?
They're both drawing from the same well.
Yeah.
There's another that gospel guy character of his. He does in one of the other records. To me, it always felt like he was tapping into the Jim Baker 700 Club, who's the other asshole that ended up being a rapist, that was like, oh God, I'm blanking on his name. One of the televangelists that
Billy
ended
Graham
up being a huge creep.
one?
No, Billy Graham actually managed to not.
Okay.
His child is a travesty, but no, one of these guys that was like ended up being convicted of crimes.
Okay.
I think Jim Baker was stealing from everybody. This guy was like, basically sleeping with prostitutes every 5 minutes.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that one.
I almost had the name.
And those guys were all over TV. In the 70s and into the 80s, they were all over the place. There was one station in Atlanta that showed syndicated reruns all day. That's where I used to watch the Dick Van Dyke Show, and then at 6 o'clock at night, man, they just switched gears, and it was nothing but insane TV from and it was a Christian station that they just were like, we're gonna get them while they're at home, and then just show Dick Van Dyke in the afternoon. And Mr. Ed.
Oh fuck! Wow.
You'd think at some point somebody would be like, I don't think a talking horse is in line with our worldview. But
that is Satan's horse.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that's who Steve Martin is doing, and I think obviously Reverend Lovejoy is based on he's got to be that. At least the voice he's got to be stealing from that. Yeah, from those types of guys.
Right.
Because they always seem to be Southern, don't they?
That's so unfair, but it's true.
I mean, there's religious fanatics all over this country, but those guys on TV always end up sounding like they just finished baling hay.
Is it My Blue Heaven where he plays the preacher, like where he's playing, or am I confusing the two? What's the fuck? I always confuse the two.
Yeah, I know. Good Lord. Yeah. I can't believe I just went blank.
Yep, I know. Well, it's because I said the wrong one. That's why.
He plays the tent evangelist.
Yeah.
Was that
Leap
one also?
Leap of Faith? Is it Leap of Faith? There we go.
Which is actually I've never seen, and it's supposed to be really good.
And it's the weird. It's that weird moment where it is also based off the same material that Goodfellas is, but it's.
That's My Blue Heaven.
That's My Blue Heaven. Oh, okay.
My Blue Heaven is good because...
What the fuck is My Blue Heaven about then? Why am I confusing the two?
My Blue Heaven is about a guy who's in witness relocation who decides that he's bored, and that is what happened with Henry Hill from the Goodfellas. He did get bored in witness relocation, and he did start dabbling in some criminal activity. Okay. And of course, the funny thing about that is, the interesting thing to me about that is, Nora Ephron, who wrote My Blue Heaven, was married to... Pileggi, who wrote Goodfellas. That's so weird. So it's like this, she knew that this was going on and thought, well, this is funny, and made a movie out of that. So it's like this weird two sides of the same coin idea. So Leap of Faith, though, there's something about that I heard recently that actually is kind of interesting. And I can't remember who wrote that. It seems like somebody kind of...
a name that I don't recognize. Janice Cercone. Don't know. Don't know.
I just heard something about that movie recently, and it was one that I kind of ignored when it came out. Sure. Because there was a few Steve Martin movies there that I just sort of ignored.
Yeah, of course. That's
I'm trying to remember the last one I did see now that I think about it. There were no panthers or the color pink involved. I know that.
Oof.
Yeah.
Why? That's the question I always ask. Not that I think Peter Sellers is perfect or that those movies are perfect, but it just seemed like a weird thing to remake, period.
Those movies are not perfect, but they're hilarious in their way, and they are what they are. You just don't... That's just... it's just he owned that character. He was that character. You don't just redo that character to me and make it make sense. It's that I thought that was it's.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's two of them is absolutely the more bizarre to me.
I know. And also the fact that Kevin Kline is in them and he's not the one playing Clouseau. I feel like he's the better choice to play Clouseau if I were to pick out of the two.
He would be a funny Clouseau.
You know?
He would be a very funny Clouseau.
And, it's, if...
Have you ever seen the movie Inspector Clouseau with Alan Arkin?
I have not.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's also like rough. Is it at the same time as the other ones or just in the middle?
It's in between. There was a big gap. Of course, they did the first movie, which Clouseau's like not even the main character of the movie. He's just the character that stood out.
Right.
So then they took A Shot in the Dark, which was a play that had nothing to do with Clouseau, and put him in it and made a movie out of it.
Okay.
And then, as far as Peter Sellers is concerned, there's like a 10-year gap between
Oh, wow.
A Shot in the Dark and Return of the Pink Panther.
That's really funny.
And Inspector Clouseau drops in there somewhere. I think it came out like 68, something like that. So it was somebody's first attempt to rekindle.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's sort of like, it seems weird now, but it's not as weird as Steve Martin because there'd only been 2 movies and it wasn't a huge thing,
Right.
And yeah, so Return of the Pink Panther, I remember when that came out, that was a big deal. Because it was just this character that had been dormant for a long time. And of course it's hilarious.
I mean, yeah.
That was a big day. Those used to come on like the Sunday night movie on ABC. Like, in the same slot where you would see a James Bond movie, they would have a Pink Panther movies every now and then, and that was always a big deal. It's like, ooh, Pink Panther movies coming on.
How was Arkin's take on the character then?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the whole movie all the way through. I've only seen parts of it. I mean, he's doing a decent impression of Clouseau, but and again, it's a character that wasn't sort of fully formed in a lot of ways, in the way it became. But yeah, I think it's just kind of blah.
Yeah. Clouseau as a character and its canon, it's like a mishmash, fucked up James Bond. Like, it's just these people just don't quite have it. There's no one family to tell you how to make it right. I feel like that's the problem. They don't have the broccolis to hold the reins to make you do it just right.
And it's not like they've hit it out of the park every time.
No.
But yeah, you're right. It's like that is the other weird thing about the Steve Martin movies is it's not just that you don't have Peter Sellers. You also don't have Blake Edwards.
Sure. Yeah.
There's just it has no relationship to the other movies, which had those ingredients. It just feels strange that they even exist.
Well, since we are talking about latter-day Steve Martin, though, what's your favorite Steve Martin movie?
It's hard not to love, obviously, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Sure.
Honestly, I stumbled on Three Amigos not long ago, and I'm sorry, that movie makes me laugh.
It's
That's
great.
a really funny movie.
It's a great movie.
It really is. And of course, like, it's got the Martin Short thing, too, which, I had no idea that they were such good friends. But I've seen their show. I saw their show live.
Oh, really? How was that?
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Absolutely great. So funny. So funny. Yeah. And they each get their own moment. Like one of them will go off for a little while, and Martin Short does like a really great. It seems like he brought out like The Pianist and did kind of a musical comedy thing of his own. And then Steve came out with I just call him Steve. Came out with the Steep Canyon Rangers and did several songs, and it's great. It's a great night. I went with Dave Willis, who I work for, and co-writes Aqua Teen Hunger Force and co-writes Squidbillies and some other things. And he's a Steve Martin fan, we went with our wives, and everybody had a good time. It's a good night.
Like fun.
It's really fun. It's a great show. Those are the first two that pop into my head. What else is out there? Well, I mean, The Jerk, obviously.
Sure.
Man with Two Brains is ridiculous and great.
That movie gave me nightmares as a child. I can never rewatch it. I have not seen that
Because of
movie since
Merv
I was
Griffin?
5. Because of Merv Griffin. No, there's this weird
Merv Griffin.
There's this weird surreal. It would be really funny if I was remembering the wrong movie and just thought it was The Man with Two Brains. But there's this weird moment where he walks into a room.
No, you're thinking of Leap of Faith.
It would be
Just kidding.
right at this point. I mean, it might as well be where he walks into a room and a bunch of fucking pictures are moving on the wall or some crazy shit, some weird, and it gave me nightmares. And I might be imagining it. I might have made it up, and that's not actually in the movie.
I
It's
don't
a good chance.
remember that.
See, here's the
I
problem.
do not
What if I
remember that.
rewatch it and I like it? Who knows? Maybe I'll have to revisit it. God. But what
That's
if it
really
also
funny.
scares me? What if it shouldn't be? There's nothing scary about it. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't remember anything like that.
Yeah, see? What's the one where he's sharing a brain with Lily Tomlin? Or she's
All
sharing
of
a
Me.
body? All of me.
All of Me, and it's great.
See,
It's
that,
been a long time since I've seen it, but I laughed really, 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 really hard when I
Yeah.
saw it in the theater. Yeah, and
I-
that's another Carl Reiner.
I wonder if I've seen that one. See, I don't know now. I'm now wondering because there's that period because, again, I think I was afraid of Steve Martin movies as a child.
It's been
But I
a
just don't
long
know.
time since I've seen All of Me, but
Uh-huh.
I can still wholeheartedly recommend it. And everyone who heeds my words and watches it and hates it will just say that guy's an idiot, and they'll be correct because I'm an idiot. But I loved it. I really think that's I thought that was a really, really, really funny movie. And that's another Carl Reiner. Carl Reiner. He made like 5 movies with Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
Because Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid is Carl Reiner, and
Mm-hmm.
Man with Two Brains is Carl Reiner, and so what? That's 4,
Yeah.
counting The Jerk.
Mm-hmm.
The Jerk, by the way, speaking of which, co-written by a guy named Carl Gottlieb, who was, again, one of the Smothers Brothers guys.
Right.
And then they worked, and he also wrote Jaws.
Oh, yeah. That's fucking weird.
And he's in Jaws in like one or 2 shots.
So funny.
Yeah.
Really strange.
I don't know how he got that job. Like, whose idea was that? But hey, he did a great job. It's great. Yeah, it's a great movie. So yeah, it's another one of those like Smothers Brothers guys that went out and continued to conquer.
Crazy. Do
Yeah.
you have thoughts on the banjo playing on side 2 of the Steve Martin Brothers?
I think it's great. I'm not equipped to comment on music other than I like it.
Yep. Same.
It's I think it's great. I mean, it's impressive. I think he's a really impressive musician. And I've got a couple of his Deep Canyon Rangers CDs. I don't have any of the ones with Edie Brickell because Edie Brickell makes my teeth itch. But sorry, Paul Simon, but your wife makes my teeth itch. But no, I actually, honestly, I have listened to it, but I did not listen to it in preparation for this because I assumed we would be just talking about the comedy, and I could just say
Sure.
what I just said, which is, yeah, it's good.
You didn't. I was not expecting you to have a breakdown of any kind about the.
Wouldn't it be horrible if I did?
I mean, it would also be so appropriate for these
oh
two
God,
records.
this guy's not going to talk about music now, too, is he?
The time signatures on the second one. They were
He
just
really
like,
does some amazing things with. He is the Dave Brubeck of the banjo. Yeah, I mean they're all. I think they're. So I'm looking at them now. Like Sally Gooden, I think is, and John Henry. I mean, those are all kind of well-known bluegrass songs. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's like 6 or 8 cuts, right?
Yeah. 10. Yeah. All told. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
I didn't realize until I just pulled it up, but yeah.
So
They're
they're
all good.
short. Yeah.
Yeah, they're mostly like 1 or 2 minutes. There's a couple that are a little bit over 3. And that's all we can literally say about this is that the time.
It makes me wonder why. I mean, it does make me wonder what his thought was. Like, was his thought, you know what? I don't have enough material for a whole record, and I've got to. I mean, is this the contractual obligation album? So I'll fill it with music, or is it really him saying, you know what? I want to express myself, and this is how I can do it. I wonder. I've never heard.
Right.
Whether,
Because the other option is, if it's meta, the joke is I don't have enough material for an entire album right now. Like if that's what he was doing,
and I'll never do another comedy album again.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely right.
That evangelical guy was my swan song. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, for that matter, what about the Smothers Brothers? Have you ever heard why they did a record of like half music?
I don't know.
Because they wanted to.
Right. Like I'm not sure.
Because they were great, and why not?
It sounds to me like a producer decision where like, well, let's bring in the people who aren't as into your crazy subversive comedy with a little bit of music. I don't know. It seems like a weird producer decision that doesn't make sense.
Well, the thing to keep in mind too, when the Smothers Brothers did it, folk music and banjo music and that stuff was big.
Sure.
That was a thing.
Yeah.
When Steve Martin did it, it was not a thing.
No.
Except for Hee Haw. So it's interesting in that respect. But and it also underscores to me, getting back to this Smothers Brothers, that so many of their writers were also musicians. Mason Williams being the standout there.
Yeah.
He was actually got famous as a recording artist for a minute.
Yeah. He still does comedy music, I feel like I should point out. He still, like when I contacted him the first time to have him on the show, try and get him on the show, he just sent me a big old care package of just comedy CDs that he had made. It's pretty great. He still does it.
Is it good stuff?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It is kind of what you'd expect from a dude of that era to still be making, but yeah.
Right. For a long time, I had gaslit myself into thinking that Martin Mull was a writer on that show too, and then I realized that he wasn't. He just fit the mold of those guys because of the comedy and the music and the sensibility.
For sure.
And a lot of those guys were also writers for the Glenn Campbell show, which apparently was it like a summer replacement show?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. They just I think it's just to keep everybody busy. And they did it with Sonny and Cher also. I think that the first Sonny and Cher series was just a summer replacement series. It was just a way to keep all the writers working year round while, so this in hiatus they could still keep working.
I think Tommy might have produced the Glenn Campbell show too to some degree. I feel like that was part of it.
Yeah, probably.
What's so funny about him is I'm really curious as to like what the actual environment backstage was, because I co-interviewed, I should say, with my buddy Alan, the family of Lorenzo Music, because Lorenzo Music also wrote.
He was a writer on that show.
Yeah, and at one point
a musician.
Yeah. Yeah, and a great one apparently. The band he got together was him, the voice of Bullwinkle, and then just a bunch of other random people from Hollywood, and they'd play once a week at his house. But at one point he played Tommy Smothers ping pong for his job, because Tommy Smothers was just that fucking weird. And like that, maybe a control freak, and maybe, I don't know. I'd like to hear it from his mouth, but he had to play for his fucking job. And I was like, God. Are you kidding me? And they're like, nope. We were not happy about that. Like, yeah, I get it. I wouldn't be either. He obviously got to keep it, but holy shit.
So is Tommy not cool to the writers?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You hear horror stories about like the Jackie Gleasons of the world that were shitty to their writers, or Joey Bishop.
But I've never heard anything outright bad about it. That's the closest I've ever heard of him maybe being a weirdo. And it could have been, maybe it was a gag that Lorenzo Music took too seriously. Who knows? Tommy, you're welcome on the show before it closes out in 2 months.
Yeah. Tommy.
Yeah.
Tommy, rebut.
I'd love to know a little bit more.
I call him Tommy.
Sure, of course.
Oh God, that's crazy. That's so funny. Well, and again, even Rob Reiner, who I don't think of as a musician, but he did direct Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap, yeah. My brain immediately goes there too. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of kinship there of like the musical comedians, and I'm sure a lot of comedians are, if not musicians, frustrated musicians. Sure. I know a lot of editors are musicians. Most of the people in Adult Swim are musicians. I'm not. I kind of have been, but I'm certainly not now.
In what capacity? What capacity were you a musician?
Oh, I used to play the trombone.
What? Really?
In high school.
That's amazing. The most complicated brass instrument.
It's really not that amazing. It's not complicated, really.
No? No? It looks real complicated to me.
You do have not. This is not to brag on myself, but you do have to have a good ear
Sure.
because you're sort of tuning it on the fly.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why it sounds crazy and complicated to me.
Because if your hand is off a little bit,
Yeah.
it's not gonna sound right. And everybody's hand is off a little bit because not everybody's arm is the same length.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I loved it, and then I stopped. I haven't touched a trombone.
Pick it up again. Pick
I
up
know
a trombone.
I should. I think my wife disagrees with you.
She's in the middle of a fucking.
She will disagree with you if that
She's
ever
talking to
happens.
a judge on Zoom, and all of a sudden, like, I mean, that would be.
She will be talking to a judge for sure if I start playing the trombone in the house. I don't think my neighbors will be happy about it either, or my pets.
Sure. Oh yeah, I'd kill him. Do you?
Yeah.
So of these two records, do you want to recommend more one than the other? You want to recommend them both for different reasons?
I can recommend Comedy's Not Pretty all day long, every day. I've been talking about it for decades. I absolutely, really do love the album. It's great. And just because it is maybe he's showing his fatigue for the industry.
Sure.
It doesn't make it any less funny. I mean, his notes on Fame are funny and if and even sharp in a couple of spots. So yeah, I can absolutely recommend that album. I think it's fantastic. And truthfully, having just again listened to side A of Steve Martin Brothers, there's funny stuff in there. I always thought the What I Believe was a really funny bit, and that was the one he kind of took. That's the one he kind of took onto TV. Like he did it. He performed it as a monologue on SNL. I remember, and I think he maybe even done it on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Definitely SNL because I remember it, and in fact, it wasn't until later that I realized it was on the album. I just thought it was just his bit that he wrote to be on SNL that week.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it may have started out I don't know which came first, but because he was on SNL 2-3 times a year, whether he had anything to, it's not like he's on there because he's got a new record,
Right.
Although in this case that may have been the case. And God, 81 would have been. That was definitely passed after the original cast. So that's probably we're into Piscopo territory.
Sure.
But that's a funny bit.
Yeah.
I've been quoting it for years. So,
is it a takeoff on anything specific? Because I know that there was an era of spoken word celebrity records like John Wayne, America, Why I Love Her, which is one of the fucking dumbest things I've ever heard.
It's insane.
Then there's one called "Why Are You Fighting, Son?" and it's from a guy who's never served in the military, and it's him just saying, him always. Oh God, it's one of the funniest, dumbest things ever. And Albert Brooks did one of these too. He also did like a very patriotic. You can hear him standing in front of a flag kind of thing. So I just feel like it's a takeoff on something specific that I don't have a point of reference for, but I roughly get the idea.
I don't know that I don't think there was anything at that moment I don't think anybody at that exact cultural moment had done a record. I don't think it's a rebuttal record in any way.
Yeah.
But I think you want to be reminded of America, what I believe. I mean, I think he again, he's behind an American flag on even on these Smarmies cover. I'm looking at it right now. The pink suit Smarmy cover, he's in front of an American flag.
I guess you're right.
So I think he's just, it's the Reagan era. Maybe he's deciding, what? Let's. How did we get? How did we get here?
Sure.
And so I think he's probably. Knowing him, if you ask him when you get him on, because I'm sure he's waiting to come on right after me.
Yeah, of course.
If you ask him, were you doing something? Maybe he was saying, yeah, I'm looking around and seeing, all these stupid, rah-rah, America first, Reaganomics, and thinking, now's the time to make that joke. The John Wayne record was long gone, and John Wayne was fairly long gone at that point, but, or a few years anyway. But yeah, I'm sure he probably was looking around the culture and saying, God, when are these records going to come out again? And so then he made one, because it is just terrible faux patriotism and spiritualism and whatever else. Yeah, I think he's just tapping into our cultural memory of those kinds of records and performances. And,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like the televangelist. I don't think he's mocking any one of them. I think he's just mocking something that we all are seeing. Because they were everywhere.
He does at one point, I will say, this is a very written joke, but he does say Reagan can make this country what it once was, an Arctic region covered with ice, which I liked quite a bit. I thought that was pretty good.
You know what? And
there's
maybe
good shit on here.
I don't remember him talking about that, but maybe that's another thing that kind of contributed to his sort of retiring his stage persona, at least this version of it, because he is back on stage, but he's not doing that stuff. Is that whole idea? I mean, in the 70s, in 1977, 78, everything was so escapist in a lot of ways, and maybe he was just, it's kind of he's running on the fumes of the 70s, but by the 80s, things were getting so freaking weird and conservative and staid, and that may be also why he's like, I'm out. I can't do my thing anymore.
It's fair. Yeah.
Hadn't thought about that before, but I see 1981. I'm like, wow, that's a long way away from 1977.
Yeah, it really is. It's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's a crazy run in terms of records, but it's a good run. I think this will at some point stand. I don't know if any of his have been given to the Library of Congress yet, or committed to the Library of Congress yet, but the four as a package are actually quite interesting and a fun experiment in what comedy albums can be and what the evolution of them can be in the shortest time span I think I've ever seen a set of records reflect a career, an idea.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, you're right. And again, we're talking about the banjo. The banjo's in there all along.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's always there. I mean, he's got a whole great bit in Let's Get Small involving the banjo. And it was cool to me that he could do both things so well.
Yeah.
But then it's funny that by the end he's just given over to he's just given up on the comedy and for the banjo. Yeah, it's very strange because he hasn't done another comedy album.
No,
and he's just done
I would love to know what it would have been if he decided to do it. It wouldn't, but
I could imagine maybe there being an album of his show with Martin Short.
I think
maybe.
You know what? I think that exists. I do think they have at least. I think they may have, because the first was it on Netflix? Yeah, Netflix has a propensity for releasing everything they do on vinyl now and paying very little attention to the. I don't want to say that, but I say that because they won't send me anything for free. But I just feel like they just churn out vinyl with less attention to detail maybe than some of the more the other labels that I tend to enjoy, your stand-up records, your special things, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Those are the ones who don't just buy comedy catalogs and just release them en masse. They have a plan. But I have feelings and thoughts about these things, but I should listen to that as a thing, as a record, since I haven't watched the show yet. I think it might be interesting to listen to the record of that.
I would listen to that. I didn't know they had done that, so I'll track that down.
Yeah, I'm almost certain. Watch it turn out I'm fucking wrong, but I swear I saw it at the record store during when there was no pandemic.
Now, I never saw the Netflix show.
Okay, you just saw the live thing.
Yeah, and
That's
I think
great.
it's the same thing. I mean, I think it's I'm sure they've added, taken out some stuff and put in some new stuff, but I think in general it's the same show.
That's cool.
I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I should watch the Netflix thing and find out. So yeah, no, you're right. It's 4 albums in 4 years.
Yeah,
basically.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and he goes from basically being like this I mean, he was already, even the first album, he was sort of known already.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, he'd already been on SNL, and I feel like I had already seen him on The Tonight Show even by that time. But I mean, when my brother got that album, I knew a lot of that stuff already. I had seen him on TV enough.
Oh, sure.
To know him. So we just listened to it constantly. And of course, there's stuff on the album that he didn't do on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you go from this kind of like, you've seen him on TV, now here's the record, to you've seen him every waking moment of your life for the last year, now here's another record. I mean, it was huge. Just huge.
Yeah.
And then, then Comedy's Not Pretty always does feel like this sort of like, okay, well, I'm going to do another one now. And, back to small venues. But it's really funny stuff. I think it's really good stuff. And there's really funny stuff on Steve Martin Brothers. There's one bit, I mean, it maybe is a second or third cut in that really, I mean, I was guffawing when I heard it. I was like, wow, that is really, really, really funny. But I think I find that his asides and his kind of not so much the setups and the jokes are as funny as just his little things that he kind of follows up with that I find the most funny, and the weird. Whereas the first two albums, the setups are funny. Everything is funny.
Sure.
And this one, I feel like the Steve Martin Brothers, at least, that the comedy part that you're listening to, the setups and the punchlines, they're funny, they're humorous, but they're not surprising enough to make me laugh out loud.
I get that, yeah.
And then every now and then, but then he'll throw in something at the end, or that may have been just off the top of his head. That's what'll make me laugh.
Yeah.
So I do think that maybe by the time you get to Steve Martin Brothers, it all feels a little familiar.
Sure.
Even if you haven't heard it.
Right.
You've heard it. Whereas I think Comedy's Not Pretty does. There's still some originality there.
Yeah. Well, he'd obviously run out of steam a little if he was going to have somebody co-write with him. It just doesn't. It's not the same thing. It's different. It's hard to write in the exact same voice as somebody else, and write in a way to make them sound natural. Even if you've heard all their records, I feel like it's got to be a challenge.
Yeah, that's really interesting about Jack Handey, because it does just seem like he just was like, well, you kind of do the same sort of thing I do. Just write me some stuff because I got to do another record here.
Right.
I mean, now that you say that, that makes Steve Martin Brothers just seem like a complete contractual obligation.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to find out. I didn't look it up or Google it or anything like that.
I didn't see anything making it overt as to why it was made, but I mean, that's a fair assessment of it.
That's really funny.
Ned, I want to thank you for sitting and talking with me about both of these records, because this has been fun.
It's been great for me. I appreciate it. I've been, like everybody else, I'm sure you talk to, the first thing off their head is, I want to do a Steve Martin album.
Yep, every time.
So it's nice to finally get a chance to take a whack at Steve Martin, and because he really, man, he was my guy.
I mean, that's fair. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm glad we finally covered one we haven't covered before. Like right
great.
Towards the end, we finally got that last one in. I don't think there's too many records or too many artists where we've covered their whole discography. So that's something to be, to celebrate is what I say.
There you go. Cool. Well, thank you, man.
Do you have anything to promote? Keeping in mind this won't come out for like 6 weeks or something. It's going to be a while.
Nothing I do is that super time sensitive. So the thing that I'm working on now is the new Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie that will be. We're way off for it to come out.
Sure.
I don't even know what the dates are, but I know it's 2022.
Okay.
It's gonna have. It's not going to be in theaters like the first one, but it's going to have a pay-per-view life, and then eventually will wind its way to HBO Max. But it's great. It's really funny. I'm really excited about how funny it is. So that's what I'm doing now. Awesome. And then I'm going to jump onto a new show that I don't think I'm at liberty to talk about.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to even chance it, but it's I'm excited about that too. It's nice to have a new show to work on it and push off the dock and see what happens. So that's where I'm at. Adult Swim still going strong. We hit our 20th anniversary next week.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah, we aired actually this week. We aired our first episodes aired the week before 9/11.
Oh wow! Holy shit! Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
crazy.
right. The Sunday, like 9/11 was a Tuesday, I guess, and I think the Sunday before that was our second week.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So, Aqua Teen Hunger Force did not air the first night of Adult Swim. It aired the second Sunday of Adult Swim because it was our season. That season was split between Space Ghost Coast to Coast and Aqua Teen. So Space Ghost aired the first night of Adult Swim, and the next Sunday Aqua Teen made its Adult Swim debut. But anyway, so 20 years.
I don't know if you're a drinker, Ned, but have you had the Minky Boodle beer? Because I really want to try it. It's got Space Ghost on it, and it's called Minky Boodle.
No.
I don't know if it's officially licensed. Maybe I'm blowing up somebody's spot, but it sounds great. It looks good. The beer looks good. Minky Boodle.
I'm writing that down.
Minky Boodle. God, the second it's weird, the little things that can be said that I then hear in his voice. Or
Minky Boodle.
It's so fucking great. Damn it.
George.
The weird memories that I have of that show. I mean, I was not a kid, by the way, who got high or anything. I didn't need it really to get high. I was just like, this is too much. This is beautiful. It is sublimely fucked, and I love it so much.
You should get George Lowe on the show.
Oh my God. Do you think I could? I guess is the question.
I think you could.
All right. I mean,
I think you could.
It'd be worth it. It'd be worth it.
He's going to want to talk about First Family, probably, but.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of a certain era. That is kind of all, like, you can judge, like, when people, or if I talk to people who are in their 80s, it's always Spike Jonze. It's all, because that was the first shit they listened to.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, speaking of, actually, I think I literally have a Spike Jonze interview later today. I'd forgotten. Yeah. I'm talking with a guy about Spike. I talked with Spike Jonze Jr. a couple weeks ago, and that was fucking amazing. And then, I don't know. The way we're wrapping this show up is very weird and all over the place, and I'm loving it.
That's great.
That's great. This is fun. Thank you again for doing the show.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you guys for listening. And as always, have a good thing. Comedy on Vinyl is a production of StolenDress Entertainment. It is produced by Mike Warden and is hosted and edited by Jason Klom. Our theme song was composed and performed by Richard Levinson. You can email us at podcast@comedyonvinyl.com. You can also send snail mail to StolenDress Entertainment, P.O. Box 805, Burbank, California, 91503. Subscribe to Comedy on Vinyl on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you can find podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating and write us a review. It helps. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Comedy on Vinyl, or find everything in one place at comedyonvinyl.com. A major portion of Comedy on Vinyl has been underwritten by Stand Up Records. Please visit standuprecords.com for all your comedy needs and tune in to the new Stand Up Records channel available on the Roku, where you can also find select episodes of this podcast. Visit StolenDress.com to listen to our other podcasts, watch videos, and imbibe freely of our multimedia content going back 15 plus years. StolenDress Entertainment.
Hey, it's my turn.